Hello, everyone. Happy Black History Month. Month for the people. We're in our second week of February. My calendar's here now because I can't put anything on the wall since everything got painted. And I'm back in my room. As you can see, it's very nice to be back. I hope everyone is having a good Black History Month, especially fellow Black people and people who are not Black are looking at Black creators like myself or anybody else on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all the social medias basically. So today I'm going to talk about the movie Dolemite. I'm going to give my review of it. So it is an American Blaxploitation comedy film. Yes, as you know, I'm doing Blaxploitation films. So it's also a crime comedy film. That's different than, I guess Foxy Brown was technically crime. I guess it was more of like revenge crime. Because she was committing crimes and other people were also committing crimes. So it's like kind of like an inception of crime. It was released April 26, 1975. It was directed by D'Urville, I hope I said his name right, Martin, who actually also starred in the movie, and I will tell you which character he was in a moment. Rudy Ray Moore, who is the main character of the film, actually co-wrote the film and its soundtrack. The cast is Rudy Ray Moore as Dolemite, the titular character. I uploaded a video talking about how he came up with Dolemite, so I'm not going to reiterate it here. It's the video before this one. It's like 2 minutes long, so it's not very long. But if you want to know where he got the character from, it'll tell you that. Lady Reed as Queen Bee. She's like the madam, I guess, that helps him out because he's a pimp. D'Urville Martin as Willie Green Brown, so he directs and acts in the film. West Gill as Reverend Gibbs, so he's kind of like a cursing preacher, and he has guns, and it's like, and he's like has sexual relations outside of marriage. Well, I don't know if he's really married to the woman, but they have sex in the church, which is like crazy. That's just like a random thing in the movie. John Jerry as Detective Mitchell, who is like one of the racist detectives. Jerry John as Blakely, and I'm trying to remember who Blakely was, and I can't remember, but Blakely is somewhere in the movie. High Pike as Mayor Daley. He's kind of like, he's supposed to be for Black people, but really he's just corrupt, and like I guess he's using them to like be reelected because he's like not really a good person in the movie. And then Vanis Rockstraw as Creeper, who's like I don't know a better word for this, so I'm sorry if you have anybody who was addicted to crack or well, I'll just say he's a person addicted to drugs. Because I don't like, I don't really want to call people crackheads all the time. You know what I mean? Because, you're a person outside of the drugs. Basically what I'm trying to get at. But that's basically who he is. He also, like, tries to give Dolemite information in the movie. I don't really feel like he's a super important character, but they mention him in the cast. So I'm telling y'all. So the synopsis is, after he's released from jail, after being wrongfully convicted, a pimp takes on the criminals and corrupt police officers who framed him with the help of some female karate experts and other warriors. So I'll call them sex workers. All the sex workers that work for Dolemite, they all know karate. Which I'm going to talk about that in terms of when it comes to like the fighting. But we're going to get to that later. So I'm going to talk about my pros and my cons. So basically, Dolemite gets wrongfully convicted of these like drug trafficking crimes, even though he is a pimp, which is also a crime. So I mean, he's doing some kind of crime, you know what I mean? And so Queen Bee gets him bailed out basically, and then he's trying to get, kind of revenge on everybody. It really seems like honestly everybody's trying to take him out versus him trying to get revenge. But then Willie Green owns a club that he used to own, so he wants it back. So he pays them, and then basically so he owes like $50,000 on the club. So he kind of like he pays them, but really he kind of just like kicks them out basically because he's like, I'm giving you the money, y'all got to get out by tomorrow. So that's like one of his goals in the movie. But then it's like everybody else is trying to kill him. And I guess because they know that they set him up. So, that's the thing. Okay, so my pros are Dolemite and the other main characters. I think that Dolemite was a very fun main character. He had clear motivations, and he was a very interesting character. Like, he had, I guess, as part of Rudy Ray Moore's like comedy act was also Dolemite. So he, outside of the movie, he would make monologues, which I'm actually going to talk about separately. So let me hold on to that. But him being Dolemite was really fun. He had this confidence, this air, this untouchability. Even though he's very, very touchable, as we saw in the movie, I don't know, he didn't really get beat up too much, but people was fighting him, people were shooting at him. So he's not invincible, but as this character, he was very fun. I think Rudy Ray Moore did a great job portraying him. I also love Queen Bee. She was very fun and kind of like a larger than life. Like, I don't know if there's like a stereotypical madam type, but she's like tough and she's fashionable, which I will say, the fashions I'm not going to highlight because I don't feel like they're as great as in Foxy Brown. But they had it wasn't as many moments. It was like a few sprinkles, so I'm not going to like show any of them. But she was very fun, and she was very, bold, I will say. So I'm going to get into this more in my cons, but I do wish we had a deeper background on them. And I also wish like Willie Green was like a worthy, I thought he was a worthy opponent for like Dolemite. Because I don't know, they seem kind of similar, or I guess opposites. I don't know how to describe it. But basically, I felt like he was a good like nemesis for him, basically, right? He has his own henchmen, he has his own girls. So, they're battling out for the club, and I feel like, and then he had all his henchmen and stuff, which, during the opening night of the party, of the club, of course, after the performance, they'll tear up the place because, Willie Green wants the place back. You know what I mean? And there was a black detective, but I was trying to Google my life away. I could not figure out this man's name. But he helped Dolemite, and I feel like he was a good character too. If you've seen Dolemite, let me know what his name is, because I don't remember. Because I watched it, but I didn't do my notes immediately after, so I could not remember his name. That's something I should do more often, just do my notes straight after so I can remember everybody. And I couldn't find him on the cast list. Okay, so my second pro is the monologue / stories that Dolemite does. They're really fun, very entertaining. He had a great diction and inflection to make the stories more sensational, and I think they were very funny and entertaining. He had this one story where a lion and a monkey would fight all the time in the jungle, and so the monkey tricked the lion and said, "Hey, the elephant has been talking crap about you." He didn't say crap, of course, because he curses like a sailor. So I'm just paraphrasing and editing it. Basically, the elephant talking crap about you, you should go fight the elephant instead. And of course, although I feel like in the wild, the lion, I feel the lion has a 50-50 chance. I'm going to be honest with you. 50-50. Even though, elephants are bigger. But I don't think they're faster than lions. But of course, it's a made-up story. So you got to suspend your disbelief. But basically, the elephant kicks the lion's ass, basically. And so the lion comes back to the monkey, and he's all beat up and stuff. And then he's like, if you weren't, the lion says to the monkey, if you weren't in that tree, I'd beat you up too. And of course, the monkey falls out of the tree. But, Dolemite telling the story is much funnier than me recanting it to you right now. So, yeah, that was one of the interesting stories. And I forgot the first story he had. I can't remember if it was about a ship or something. But, you could probably look up the monologues. But, they're very funny. The settings, I love the club setting the most in the movie. I thought it was very unique to me, although it kind of looked like a regular club. But, they had, like, the grand opening, and it was, like, fun. The girls would, I don't know if they were the girls that worked for him. They were like, if they were like sex workers, or that he hired like people to come and dance. But you know, they had African dancers and stuff, and it was fun. And he did his own little monologue. You know, that was cool. They had music, so that was a fun scene, seeing the club and stuff. And then they had the trap house with Creeper in it. That was like interesting. Of course, very rundown, but you know, it was interesting seeing like where he lived, and like it wasn't the greatest. And then I also liked the church. And then, like I said, the pastor had his own bedroom in the church. They had their guns hidden. There was a lot going on, but it was interesting. And I think the world around the story is very captivating. I feel like Dolemite was in his house in the beginning of the movie. That was interesting, but they don't really specify that, so I'm not sure where some of the things take place. Of course, there are some love scenes, of course, but I don't know if they're at like his house or his like where the sex workers live house or whatever. But yeah, I did really like the world. Okay, the music was good. I don't think it was as good as Foxy Brown. So my next pro is the movies, was the music. But I did feel like everything fit wherever it was, and of course, I always love theme songs for like the main character. So he had his own theme song, so that was really fun. I really like that. I just think they're so cool. LOL. Okay, now we're gonna get to the cons. So one of my cons was the fighting. Even though for this movie it was bad, but at least unlike Foxy Brown, this one was supposed to be a comedy, so it kind of worked with it and against it, you know. So it didn't work against it too badly though. It was kind of funny, LOL, because it's like there are people just like, there was a one scene when, you know, Willie Green, you know, his men were fighting people and shooting up the club basically, where the cook and this guy are just fighting in the kitchen. But it's like really funny because it's like they're taking turns, like it seems like hitting each other, and then he pours like grease, I guess, on him. It's just really funny. But one thing that I hate about with these movies is they act like karate is gonna stop a gun. They act like, I don't care like how fast you do karate, a bullet, you're not gonna beat a bullet, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how much you suspend your belief, like, you really, it's because it's just so funny, because it's like, they don't shoot immediately, or, like, sometimes if they do, it's like they're really slow, and I'm like, how do you shoot with a gun and just slow? You know what I mean? You should be fast, like, boom, boom, they're dead. Like, I just feel like it's so funny, and, like, I can't really suspend my disbelief for it, because I'm just like, you really let somebody karate chop you in the throat, and you got a gun, and it takes you down? And another thing that was so funny that I didn't put in my notes is, like, I don't know if some of these people were supposed to be dead, because some of them would get beat up and just be laying on the ground. I don't know if they're supposed to be, like, I don't know if they're supposed to be, like, knocked out, like, you know, concussion, like, you get knocked out. But it's just so funny, because, like, they didn't get shot or anything, as far as I know. But they're laying on the ground, just like they're dead. Like, I don't think, I mean, I guess if you hit somebody, I was going to say the right way, but I guess the wrong way, you could hit something, and they could hit their head on something, they could die. Or you can, you know, or their brain could swell. So, I mean, I guess, but, you know, we don't know that as the viewer. So I'm like, you just karate chop somebody and now they're passed out. Or they're supposed to be dead. Like, it's just so funny. Okay, so I put these three together because, like, they kind of work together. So my next con is the plot, the patchy story, and the pacing. So the 3 P's. The plot and pacing was so disjointed. Like, the plot didn't really go smoothly from, like, scene to scene. Like, you'd be in one scene, and then, boom, you're in another scene. It's, like, not really a good transaction. I mean, not transaction, a good transition. You just be like, boom, boom, and you're like, oh, okay, well, now we're in a trap house. Now we're back at the church. Now we're in the Dolemite's club. Now we're in Dolemite's house. Now we're wherever. We're on the street. It was like kind of all over the place. And the pacing of the movie was all over the place because I feel like kind of the beginning, kind of like when he comes out of jail, like I don't really 100% think they needed like the scene of him changing right out of jail. I don't really think they needed that. And then they had a chase scene in the beginning which, you know, he's the main character, so he's not going to die. So I'm just going to tell you this. Spoiler alert. There is assassination attempt. Mind you, there are like 5 people in the car behind him. I don't know if they all had guns, but I feel like it should have been an easy assassination attempt. Can't talk today. But of course it doesn't work out. And well, Dolemite does have a gun that time. So I will say, at least, and he kind of caught him by surprise. So maybe that one could be realistic. But yeah, some scenes I just didn't really think they like needed to have really. Like, and then the creeper scene, I don't really think he told Dolemite like too much anyway, but that's what Dolemite wanted for him to tell him some information. But then of course, you know, the racist cops bust in and shoot everybody. So does it really matter to have that scene? Yeah, the pacing of the movie was all over the place, and some of those storylines didn't have to play out like they did. For example, like they mentioned Dolemite's girls having karate lessons, and then they also have a scene of them at karate. Like, do we need to also see them? And then you don't even see them for real, like a long time. Like they do their karate, but it's like Dolemite comes at the end, and he like makes a speech after they're done. So it's not even like you see like the whole routine of them doing the karate, just kind of the end. So I didn't really feel like you needed that. And the plot was choppy. It was like not linear enough to follow, and the pacing was not equally distributed. I felt like things that seemed more important than others. Like for example, I'm trying to think of one. Like Dolemite, when he comes and he gives them the money and tells them, you know, get out. I don't know. I just felt like also. So I'm going to talk about this next. Actually, let me hold on to that. So my last con is no character development. No character in this movie, despite them being very unique, were like more than like one-dimensional. I kind of wish that we had gotten like more of the info on the girls, Queen Bee, and like Dolemite before he got arrested, because I feel like there's not really like that much backstory. And then one of his, I forgot her name, of course. One of his like main girls leaves to go to Willie Green, and then comes back, and this is one of the sex scenes, because you know she misses him, and you know she doesn't really explain like, oh, he asked her why she left, but I can't really remember if she really said anything insignificant, but I feel like she didn't really. So yeah, so I kind of wish there was like more backstory back then, and like I want to see more motivations for Dolemite other than like just getting his club back and not trying to get killed, which were basically his motivations. Okay, so I'm gonna give my overall opinion. This movie had fun moments, but overall it was just meh for me. It wasn't. So it's not horrible, but it's not super great. It was like just in the middle. You know what I mean? This is like a random tangent, but yeah, I wish that sites that have ratings, because a lot of streaming don't have them, but I wish you could have like a middle thumb, because it's not like great, it's not like bad, but it's like in the middle. That's kind of what I think about this movie. I feel like these cons were like fixed. Of course, it's been like over 40 years, but you know, if they had fixed the cons, I think like it could have at least been a fun watching experience. But it wasn't always fun to watch, because some things that happened weren't really interesting and weren't really needed in the story to move the story along. Which reminds me of another scene where they're trying to figure out if it's really Dolemite, and so he does like a monologue in the street, like next to his car, and it's like, why do we need the scene? I guess he had to put in a monologue there, which, I mean, it was funny, but like it's like super random because he was trying to find Creeper, I guess, but it didn't really move the story along. Besides him just saying it and then going to find Creeper, that was like basically it. So I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10. Yeah, because it's kind of in the middle. It's on Tubi for free, so at least you don't have to rent it. And this is like solely random. But next week when I do Shaft, it is on HBO Max if you have HBO Max. Which if you already pay for it, you're paying for it. So it's kind of not really free, but at least you don't pay extra to rent it. But yeah, so Dolemite, and I mentioned its sequels in my video about the life of Rudy Ray Moore and how he came up with Dolemite. And I think they also are on Tubi. So if you liked the first one, you could just finish. Are all of them on there? I guess you have to check. I think at least the second one. I feel like they had like a third pseudo sequel, but I can't remember if it's actually on Tubi. But yeah, so this week I did a new poem. I had to make sure I never did it before because I definitely checked. But it's called a Quinzane. Quinzane. I'm going to put it in the description like always. So it means 15. So it's like an unrhymed poem with 15 syllables. So the syllables are distributed between 3 lines. So there are 7 syllables in the first line, then there are 5 in the second line, and 3 in the third line. And the first line makes a statement, and the next 2 ask a question relating to the statement. So there we go. It's called Better Than a Mother. That's why I named it. So here it goes. Dolemite is a badass. Are you a badass? Why aren't you? I feel like in his theme song, it talks about him being a badass. In one of the theme songs, because I know there are multiple for Dolemite in the movie. So I thought that would be like a cool poem to write. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the poem and my review of it. If you have seen Dolemite, let me know what you think about it. And I want to say, as far as I know, it's going to be on Tubi for forever or whatever if they switch it. I didn't see it. It was like, sometimes they have movies that come and go, but I didn't see them have an end. Like, I didn't see it saying it was going to go away. But I could be wrong. But yeah, if you want to watch Dolemite, it's on Tubi. If you have seen it, let me know what you think. There's also a biopic about him called Dolemite Is My Name, which stars Eddie Murphy, which I would also like to watch. So yeah, that one's on Netflix. So it's a different streaming service. I can't speak today. But yeah, let me know what y'all think, and I will see y'all next week when I talk about Shaft. And once again, Black History. Happy Black History Month.